Grand Slam Track Miami, day 3, getting ready for the men's long distance 5,000. And Chris Chavez, it seems to me it's Grant Fisher and how 7 guys are going to handle Grant Fisher.
That's right. And after Kingston, you know, he caught a little flack for kind of taking himself out of that second race and having to just finish 3rd. And he did just that to come away with the title. But today he's actually got a race. And the other guys, the big question for them is how do you stop him?
And, well, there's a good look at Grant Fisher, who swept both races in Jamaica. Tried to sprint to this one, didn't quite get there. A little different makeup in the field here when he comes through.
You've got guys with personal bests under 350 for the mile, and so that was super valuable in the 3,000 meters where they were able to push it all the way to the finish line.
But I do think there's a couple athletes that are excited about, and here we go. We can't even, in the first 10 steps we see it. But I do think there's a couple athletes that might not mess around. You know, Grant Fisher said he's got to be ready for everything. And right now, I mean, really, this is the man to beat. He's about 10 seconds faster than every single one of these athletes on paper, if you look at his PB. And he ran so phenomenally indoors this year, setting a world record and just coming back to back, running every single race he ran, whether it was 1,500 meters, 5K, 3K, all of the races that he ran. He's so sharp. He's very confident, but if you know him, he's a quiet guy. He's a class act of a guy, but man, does he love to race. And he is not going to have to put himself in a position to really lead in these moments right now. So he's learning, as he said. I've said it a number of times over here at the Grand Slam, but he's learning how to race every single different way. And one of these days, we're going to see him learn how to really race a fast, hard run from the gun.
He's got a smile on his face.
That's his calm look. But, you know, Cooper Tier in second position there. He is a 12:54 guy, and it was not that long ago. It was in LA last year. He is a threat, but also, Siri, he ran really well in the BAA 5K, and that's kind of the last stat that we have for him, but he's a phenomenal racer. And if you saw him race on the streets of Boston just a couple weeks ago, he sat, he played it out perfectly, and he really unleashed a killer kick. So, you know, he too has some weapons if he needs to use them today. But I'm sort of ready for these guys to kind of get into their stride and really show us that training that they use and the race savviness that they have.
Well, Dawit Sear from Eritrea is leading, but he's not doing anything.
George Mills, you know him better than anybody. I mean, he is such a great athlete. He's got this, you know, his great family history of being great athletes as well, but he is someone that ran so awesome at the, and there I said it, that's my favorite word this weekend, awesome. Good. But he ran so well at the European Championships right behind Jakob Ingebrigtsen, like you talked about, and then he ended up getting sick for the World Indoors. And that was unfortunate because he would have run against Andrew Koskeren there, who ran a great race. He was 6th there. So I think that Andrew Koskeren and George Mills, they come in pretty sharp here, even though Mills had a little bit of illness.
And that was the conundrum for me. You know, Koskeren in the races indoors, the championship ones he was in, you mentioned the Worlds, the Europeans, didn't have the kick when it got going. And yet what we saw was incredible in the 3,000 meters. Anyway, you mentioned George. You know, George started out really as an 800-meter runner, moved to the 15, strength and depth in Great Britain with Jake Whiteman and Josh Kerr, consecutive world champions, hard to get in the British team, moved up, and he's so strong. You know, he prepares in South Africa, does a lot of his training there. Well, Cooper Tier's having his turn at the front, but again, not doing anything. And the guys are just clicking the laps away here. You know, George is just moving up a little bit more. George Mills just moving this along a little bit more at the front. You can see that the gap's just suddenly starting to appear. It's not too much pressure for the guys at this stage, but suddenly we went from a 73 to a 67. That's more normal, still not quick 5,000 meter pace, but at least it brings them back into a more comfortable running.
It's been fun to watch George Mills run a little bit. I mean, at the Paris Olympic Games, wasn't he part of that fall in the semifinals of the 5,000? And then he came back. He also ran the 1,500. I mean, he likes to race. He puts himself in there time and time again. And so it's fun to see him here doing this double over a weekend.
Yeah, and that's the joy, isn't it, of distance running. When you get to the games, you know, we've seen great 1,500-meter races won. Centro was the last one to win the real big tactical one, wasn't it? But same in the 5,000. You don't have to be necessarily the fastest in the world, which Ingebrigtsen isn't always, but he wins because he's got great 1,500-meter pace. Anyway, the two Brits in the lead at the moment. 64 is just creeping up. Heading the same way here. Somebody here, have a go.
Well, Koskinen is back in the pack like he was for that 3K, and it wasn't until the later stages where he really moved around. He's right there. I'm not sure. He hasn't run an outdoor 5,000 meters in 5 years. The man that won the 3,000 meters just 2 days. But look at him. He's kind of getting antsy, kind of wondering if he can hang on. He's got to cover these moves. He knows he has the wheels, but look who's out in front. It's Grant Fisher. That's what we're used to. We're used to him drawing out that long kick of his. Usually it's with a mile to go on a hotter pace, but he went to the lead. Is that a mistake? I don't know.
This is smart. This is actually the dynamic from the result of the previous race, because you were right there. He's done his homework. He knows that for Koskinen, a harder run from home is not going to suit him. Mills will love this, though. George Mills is going to like this because someone's doing the work that he thought he was going to have to do. Now, though, you've got to hang on to Grant because he's putting the pressure on here. That is a move that perhaps they weren't expecting. Were we expecting it? Not sure, but he's away.
Well, this is the old Grant Fisher that we know. He usually does this, but this is what he said early on before the Grand Slams even started. He needed to learn how to be patient and sit and kick. He needed to be able to finish strong with all of the athletes all over the world, not just the ones that are here. But look at the distance he's put on, Steve.
58.6 for that previous lap. And if you can throw that in the middle of the race, middle of a 5,000 meters, you're going to do some damage, and that's exactly what he's done. Grant Fisher looking serene, the man who's got world records to his name now. He's got Olympic medals to his name. He is one of the best in the world and is showing it here. He's not hanging around. He's not waiting for anybody. He's not letting it go to a kick, which, by the way, he's very good at. This time, though, he's showing what he's got, what he can do, and the rest of the group have given up the chase and have all just gathered together. They're racing for the peanuts afterwards. This is where the Slam champion is going, unless, of course, Koskinen could finish second there. But the time, this is smart from Fisher, because he knows it doesn't matter, because even if Koskinen gets the same points as him by finishing second in that group, he's way ahead on time. One last look round for Fisher. Now he can wave to the crowd, enjoying these last 50 meters. This has been a display. This has been absolutely emphatic. The Slam winner, Grant Fisher, strapped for second place. It's going to be Coupeteer who just gets second, I think ahead of Koskinen, and then the others come streaming in.
Yeah, and here we see George Mills. I liked how he took control, but look at that big move. It wasn't just like a slight move around. It was a powerful one, and every single lap, he just kept on turning the screw. Look at this, sub 4-minute mile in the last 4 laps of this 5,000 meters, smiling, waving to the crowd. This man is strong. It's going to be a fun World Champs for him.
Yeah, the guys behind him ran a big, 55 last lap, but he was way and gone. Put together, as we were talking, a 58, then a 59, then a 60, then another 59 for his last 4 laps. Very, very good indeed.
Chris Chavez, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yes. I mean, for Grant, he was laughing, I think, in the early stages of the races. It was pedestrian, 224 through 800 meters, 301 through 1K, and then he finally threw the big blow, which was a 58.6 that no one responded to. This was so good to see. It proves that, when he breaks down these races as workouts, this was a 2-mile warm-up with a one mile all-out.